Welcome to your last video of Chapter 3. This is Section 3.4 and 3.5, where we're going to write and use slopes of lines and write and graph equations of lines. So a lot about slope and equations. Objectives: to calculate the slope of a line, to determine if two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, to write the equation of a line, and to graph the equation of a line. So these notes might be a little bit longer just because we're putting two sections together, but it's your last video, so get excited. So slope is rise over run. You can also think of it as the measure of the steepness of a line. Okay. The formula for slope, m is represented as slope, equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, that's written over in our little yellow box over there. It'll be really important that we look at that. So example 1, which line below has a slope that is positive? So positive slope is as you read left to right. Hopefully you see as you read left to right, this line right here is going up. It's positive, which is line M. Then we look for a negative slope. So as you read left to right, notice that line K decreases. So that's why that is a negative slope. Now, my zero slope versus undefined. Very confusing. Let's go through an example. A zero slope. If I draw a little person walking, you can think they have zero worries. They're walking along. They will never fall off. They have zero worries. Okay, I know it's silly, but you'll remember it. So this line that has that zero slope, or that person with zero worries, is line J. Versus, if I'm undefined, that's like this line right here, line L. Because if I drew my person, they're thinking, they're undefined of their future. They're going down and they're undefined what's going to happen to them. Okay, that's why that vertical line, L, is undefined. Okay, please draw in these figures. I know it's silly, but you'll never get it wrong. Okay, so that's our slopes. Now, let's do some calculating of slope. So I want to find the slope of line M. That means I need to find 2 points that are on line M and plug into the formula. Well, here's line M. Here's 1 point. Here's the other point. So here's my slope formula again. If you don't remember, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If it's helpful to you, write these in. This is x1. This is y1. This is x2, y2. Plug in. 3 minus 8 over 2 minus 4. Keep going. Negative 5 over negative 2. Always simplify, so it would be 5 over 2. This is my slope. Do a quick check for yourself. This is a positive slope. Does it make sense then that our line is increasing as we read? Yes. Perfect. Little check, I did it right. Okay, let's flip over to the next page. Let's calculate slope again between these 2 points using our formula. Again, our formula is slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Right, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. It's important that this whole point has a 1. This whole point has a 2. Keep that consistent. So it would look like negative 11 minus negative 5 over my x2 is 12 minus 4. Look at that negative 11 minus negative 5. That turns into a plus 5. Please write this out. It's so important that you can see it turns to a plus 5. And on the bottom, you'll just subtract and you'll get 8. So then we'll have negative 6 over 8. Always simplify, negative 3/4. Okay, if anything, maybe highlight this section right here. It's super important. It'll change your answer dramatically. Next one, consider the figure on the previous page with example 1. Which line is steepest? Well, if we go back, example 1, which one's steepest? That means which one increases really, really fast. Think of stepping up on stairs. Which ones would be super hard to step up on? Well, L, that vertical line, that is the steepest. So I'm going to write line L from the top. The reason why is because it increases and barely runs. Well, actually it doesn't even run at all because it just increases. So consider two lines with slope of negative 7 and 5. Which one would be steeper? Which one rises or falls the most? Hopefully you noticed that that would be the negative 7. You would go down 7 over 1. So you fall really, really fast. We'll talk about more of that in class 2. Okay, example 6. Line Q passes through the point 0, 0 and negative 4, 5. Line T passes through the point 0, 0 and 10, 7. Which line is steeper? Explain. So for both cases, we're going to have to find the slope and then compare the slopes. Q slope. I'm going to use these 2 points. So I'm going to do 5 minus 0, negative 4 minus 0, 5 over negative 4. So my slope is negative 5 over 4 for my line Q. Now let's look at the T slope. Now you're finding the slope between these 2 points. 7 minus 0 over 10 minus 0, so you get 7 over 10. Which one increases at a higher rate? Hopefully you see line Q. It's going to go down further, over, down further, over. Okay? Again, we'll talk more about in class. 2 postulates for you. Parallel lines, they have the same slope. So, for example, if my M or my slope equals 4, then my parallel, and this is the notation for parallel line, would also be 4. Always the same. Perpendicular, they have opposite reciprocal slopes. Opposite means opposite side of 0. Reciprocal, switch numerator and denominator. Example, if the slope was negative 5/3, the perpendicular slope, that upside down T slope would be, well, it was negative, now my perpendicular will be positive, and switch the numerator and denominator. So the negative 5 from the top goes to the bottom, the 3 from the bottom goes to the top. You also could have, if the slope was 2, the perpendicular slope, this was positive, so my perpendicular is opposite, and it would be 1/2, because on the bottom of 2 is always an imaginary 1. Okay, under any number will be a 1, so when you do perpendicular, 1 will go in the numerator. Okay, one thing to note with this perpendicular in general, an undefined slope, which again is my vertical lines. Think about that person on the bike. These are my vertical line. What's perpendicular would be a 0 slope, which then would create a horizontal line. Okay, so make sure you understand this note. Maybe put a star. Those are perpendicular of each other. Okay. Now you're going to be asked, like the objective said, to prove if lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So example 7 brings that in. A line A passes through negative 1, 3 and 4, 1. Line B passes through -2, -1, 3, -3. Are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Whenever I see this question, I know I need to find the slope. So let's go through right now, take a moment, find the slope of A and the slope of B, and tell me, are they the same, which makes them parallel? Are they opposite reciprocal, which makes them perpendicular? Or are they neither? There's no relationship. Take a moment, do that now. Okay, that should have been enough time. I'm going to tell you the answer is that line A should be parallel to line B, which means that the slopes should have been equal. Slopes are equal. And both slopes, I'm going to tell you, are -2/5. Okay, so if you made a mistake, please try to fix it. Go back, both slopes, line A and line B, should have a slope of -2/5. If you need help with that, you can come and ask tomorrow in class. Okay, let's get on to writing equations of lines. So that's a lot about slope. We have 3 forms of writing equations. First form is slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. M, hopefully you know, is the slope every time, and the b is the y-intercept. Always will have a 0 as your x and have that y value right there. Actually, I might even write it as it will be that b value in a way. So, when to use it? Super important is when you have the slope and when you have that y-intercept. Only reason to use it. Anything that crosses that axis in a slope. Another form is point slope. Y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. Again, the M stands for slope. This y1, x1, that's your point. So that's actually the point on the graph that you're given. So the reason you'll use this is when you're given a slope and a point on the graph, or when you're given 2 points. The reason why you're going to use it when you're given 2 points is because you can easily find slope from those 2 points, and then you can use either point to write your equation. Okay, so maybe star that. That's when you'll use point slope. Our last form is standard form. AX plus BY equals C. Fun fact, standard form tells us absolutely nothing. If you use standard form, it is when you're told. And you actually want to get it into slope-intercept form. Okay, so you're going to want to solve for y. We'll do an example and I'll explain that. So let's write a couple equations. Give it a shot. Write the equation on the line through the point and slope. Okay, critical thinking. If I'm doing a point and a slope, hopefully you plug into point slope, which would then be y minus my y value. So here's my x1, y1. So y minus 4 equals my slope x minus my x1. Okay, I just simply plugged into the equation above. Notice that it is a -4 and a -5. Okay, it's subtraction in the equation. Let's now look at example 2. Write the equation of a line perpendicular to the given line and passing through the point. Okay, so perpendicular means slope, and it passes through a point. So in my mind, okay, point slope, I'm going to use it. Now it's important to notice my slope here is 7/3. I want what's perpendicular. So my slope is 7/3. My perpendicular slope would be -3/7. Opposite reciprocal. Use that slope with your point and plug into point slope. It would look like this. Y minus 1 equals -3/7, that's my slope, x minus a -1. Notice that I'm subtracting a -1. What happens when you subtract a -1? It really turns into a +1. Make a note of that. Let's try example 3. Write the equation of a line that passes through those 2 points. While looking at my chart above, it told me to now plug into point slope because you're going to find the slope and then use either point. So right now, please take a moment, find the slope, and plug into point slope using either of the points given. Take a moment, try. Okay, should have been enough time. If not, go ahead, go back, pause the video. The slope for number 3 should have been -1. I use that slope and either of the points. My first equation could look like this. Notice my x +2. Or it could be using the second point. Same slope with a -1. Either answer is acceptable. It doesn't matter. Number 4. Write the equation of the line through the point and parallel to the line with the equation y equals 2x minus 3. Here, point and a slope. So I'm going to do point slope. This equation is y equals mx plus b, so my slope is 2. What is the parallel slope? Well, parallel slope is the same, so it's also 2. Use my slope of 2 and my point of 1, -1, 1. So y minus 1 equals -1 x plus 1. It's a +1 because you subtract a -1 as your x value. Really important that you understand that. Okay. Last equation, 2 points. Again, I know that would be then point slope. My slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Notice that subtracting a negative. So you should get 4/3 as your slope. And choose either point to plug in. Y minus 3 equals my slope, x plus 1. Or y minus 7 equals 4/3 x minus 2. Either one is allowed. Just take your time, find that slope. Okay, we're almost done, I promise. Last video. We're going to graph a couple. What's great about this is now we understand all our forms. So we just plot the points, connect the line, and we're done. Okay, this is in y equals mx plus b. My slope is 2 in that m position. This is slope intercept, so it's telling me my intercept 0, -1. This value right here tells me my y-intercept. Let's go to that point. 0x, -1y, slope of 2, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Keep going. I want you to plot every possible point. Keep going down till you can get a solid line through it with your arrows. Okay, plot the point, follow the slope. Do a quick check. This is a positive slope, and it's increasing as you read left to right, so you graphed it right. Number 7, this is in point slope. My slope is negative 2/3. The point I'm going to graph, because this is a plus sign, that means your x value was negative to start. So I'll go to negative 1, 1, plot the slope of negative 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2. Again, plot every point. Get in that habit now. And then connect your line as best as you can. Do a quick little check. Your slope is negative, so it makes sense that your line is decreasing as you read it. Okay. 8, standard form. Remember, it tells us nothing, so we don't want to use it. We have 2 ways, though, to solve it. You can choose to get it into y equals mx plus b, or you can find your x, y intercepts. I'll show both ways. So I have 2x minus 3y equals 6. Let's solve for y. Minus 2x, negative 3x equals negative 2x plus 6. Divide everything by negative 3. So it'd be 2/3 x minus 2. This is in slope-intercept. I can see my slope will be 2/3, and my beginning point would be 0, negative 2. Plot that out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Then connect your line. There we go. Positive slope, positive increasing line. Okay, next one. X equals 6. Whenever you see x equals 6 or x equals a number, know that this is going to be undefined. So write a quick note, undefined when you have x equals anything, because it's saying I only know that the x value is 6. My entire graph just has an x value of 6. So go to 6, draw that vertical line, and it will give you your undefined slope. Just 2 more for you. Number 10 is in point slope. How about take a moment, do 10 and 11 right now, and then we will check it together. Okay, should have been enough time. Your slope is negative 3, and your point is 4, negative 2. Notice that negative 2 because it's y plus 2. So go to 4, 1, 4, negative 2, that's your point. Do your slope, negative 3/1. Connect your line. Quick check, it's a negative slope, so my line is decreasing. I did it right. Okay. Last one. Hopefully you gave it a shot. You could get y by itself. Definitely an option. If you did, you should have had the equation. Let me see if I can write it. The equation y equals 2x minus 4. Hopefully you got that if you solve for y. Otherwise, you can do an XY table. An XY table is finding the intercepts. So if I want to find the y-intercept, I plug in x as 0. So if I plug in x as 0, get 0 minus 1/2 y equals 2. Let's solve for y. Hopefully you notice that when you do so, it's like multiplying both sides by -2. So your y would equal -4. So this would be one point that I can plot right there. Then, now try plugging y as 0. So you have x minus 1/2 times 0 equals 2. Hopefully you then see x would equal 2. So you can plot that point. Those are your two intercepts. If you draw a line through it, that will also give you the same line, y equals 2x minus 4. Both ways work. There is no preference. You can check it one way or the other. You did it. You finished your last video. Please bring any questions you have to class tomorrow. Anything about slope, graphing lines, equations, negative slopes, anything like that. We'll talk about it tomorrow. You did it.